change of speaker next. Conor Taaffe is the director of Homebond, was unexpectedly called away, but colleague Colin McKernan is stepped in at the last minute. Conor is technical director at Homebond, so he's going to look at it from an Irish perspective. The quality agenda. We all remember the Homebond manual. Excellent guide for house building. I think Colin will tell us more about when the new version is coming out, and also the Homebond Right on the Site initiative that was very well received. So we'll ask Colin to come forward and just give us a presentation on what Homebond are doing about quality and what initiatives are taking place.
Thank you, Martin. I'd like to thank yourselves and your team for inviting us down here today, just to give us, I suppose, a little bit of airtime as well to talk to people in relation to what Homebond are and maybe issues that we're having with quality, or we see how people can improve quality and what the essential and the core things around quality is very, very important. And I suppose one of the first things we look at, and we're all very familiar with, our technical guidance documents. So we have a suite of technical guidance documents in Ireland, A2M. But one of the questions we regularly ask people at all of our training courses, how many regulations are there? So do people know how many regulations are actually contained within the technical guidance documents and what you're required to comply with? So you're required, as an assigned certifier example or design certifier, to comply with the full suite of regulations, not to just be selective and not to sign off on certain parts of it, etc. So we look at that a little bit more when we come to it in a further slide. But as you see there on the slide in front of you, we have the A2M. They're going to deal with our design, our workmanship and our materials. So it's very, very important that we have a very good knowledge of that. And this is going to dictate how you deal with quality. So quality is across the board in relation to design, workmanship and materials. Very, very important. So again, as I said at the bottom here on the slide, here are so many regulations. Does everybody here know how many regulations we're talking about? Now, I know there's one or two people in the audience that should know, so I'll make sure that they don't open their mouth. But in general, we all should know that. As a part of our construction industry, we need to know what the regulations are so that we can comply with them. And there's a formal way of doing that and how we're going through that process. And just to give an example of that, we show the technical guidance document. So an awful lot of people, particularly with simple construction like house construction, which would be a lot of this construction that we're involved in, people say, well, we're designing to the building regulations. We're designing to A2M. But that may not be enough. So technical guidance document A, for example, in 2013, there are limitations in relation to what you can build onto that guidance document. So under that guidance document, you are only allowed to build a two-storey masonry construction, for example, lightweight roof construction, 10-metre maximum wall height, 9-metre span, and so on and so on. So it's quite restrictive in one sense, and you are dealing with the smaller type construction. And if you go outside of that, you are now looking at designing to the Eurocodes. So the Eurocodes are now mandatory, so we have to design the larger structures that fall outside the likes of technical guidance documents, must be designed in accordance with the Eurocodes. And as you can see down at the bottom there, we have Eurocode 6. And Eurocode 6 is the design of masonry construction. So if we're building a larger structure or a dwelling house, a very substantial dwelling house that exceeds the requirements within technical guidance document, you must consider technical guidance, or you must look at the Eurocodes. So you look at Eurocode 6, for example. And then we have, within those, we have our standard recommendations. So SR 325, for example, is a recommendation in relation to masonry construction. That's how we do it. How you actually carry out the work, where you put your DPCs, etc., during the course of construction. And again, that's quality. That's to do it. If you understand that document, you know how to understand the standard recommendation, you should be ensuring that the quality is good. So that's one of the important things to bear in mind. If we step outside of that, and as I say, if we go to the next tier up, if you want to look at it, and you're going to European standardisation. So this is where you are looking at the Eurocodes, the bigger ticket stuff. You then have to start considering in way more detail how you're going to execute that work. So there are execution standards out there as well. So you need to be aware of those execution standards to enable you to give guidance to the guys on site, to the trades, to the labourers, whatever it is on site, to execute that work correctly. And then will lead us on to our product standards. So harmonisation is a big thing and has been happening for a number of years now. And that's all down to do with quality and harmonising everything throughout Europe and across Europe. And very, very important that we understand these codes and standards and looking at products and materials is really, really critical now as well. And there has been lots of high-profile stuff in the last number of years in relation to products and materials that we are aware of and people see in the media all the time. And that's why it's very, very important that we make sure the product standards are examined and that they're followed. So it is a critical component of what we're doing. Just to give an example, if we look at SR325. So SR325, as you can see, is a 2013 document, and there's an annex in 2018, and this is dealing with our masonry construction. And there's a statement within that. It says, you can see there, the workmanship recommendations given herein should normally be followed, but for alternative, some instances, additional information on basic masonry workmanship, see British standards. So you're getting guidance, and within the document it's saying to you, okay, if what's in this document, SR325, is not sufficient or not enough, you need to go and get some other documentation. So go and look at the standards, say, within British standards. So go and look at the BS 8000 suite. And that will allow you then to make sure that you're getting the quality of the work correct and ensuring that you're getting that down to the site staff and site level. Materials and products, a big thing in relation to it. So you have your construction product regulation. So as you can see there, it's a regulation that has come in from Europe, and it's talking about our DOP, Declaration of Performance, CE marking. And people are probably blue in the face with Homebond going around the country doing our writing sites and everything, telling everybody about products and materials and CE mark and Declaration of Performance, and probably sick of us at this stage saying it. But it's something that we just have to keep drilling home to everybody, the importance of getting your materials and products and selection correctly. And you can see on the first slide over on the right, left-hand side here, this is where it's talking about the basic requirements for construction and work. So everybody knows there's a basic requirement in relation to getting your products and materials. It might be concrete units, it might be windows, whatever it is. You know that it's out there, you know those basic requirements. But you must understand that there is essential requirements for that product or that material as well. So you have to go to the next level down and ensure that you're getting those proper products and materials. So the essential requirements under your Declaration of Performance, which is very important. Now I could probably spend, and I'm sure Chris and everybody else could probably spend hours here talking about Declarations of Performance and CE marking, and everybody here will leave and say, well, I learned nothing there. So what we're saying is you just need to be conscious of it and be aware of it now, and it's something that you have to look into a lot more. And then when you look at that, you have the harmonised standards. So these harmonised standards and the annexes are all there for us to examine and to make sure that the materials and products are being purchased correctly. So we'll look at a little bit again in future, or in another couple of slides in relation to it. And there's just a sketch down, or a little extract down here on the bottom in relation to your CE mark. So we're all very familiar with CE marks in relation to, say, our white goods have been around for a long time. So we have that for our construction products now, and we need to make sure that we're getting the proper documentation and paperwork for that. That in itself is very difficult. So it can be difficult to get that as well. So one of the first tasks you have to do is identify, is there a CE mark or is there a Declaration of Performance for that product? And then you must then ensure that you procure them. So you go back to your suppliers or to your manufacturers and you say to your manufacturers, look, I need the CE mark and the Declaration of Performance for that product. I have to verify that I have sourced the proper product, this proper material, and I want the piece of paperwork to verify that. So you'll get your CE mark and your Declaration of Performance. Okay, that's fine. Everybody knows about CE mark and Declaration of Performance, but who should know about it? All your staff. So all your guys in procurement, anybody that's ordering materials or products, they should know that. Our architects and our engineers, our designers, it's critical that our designers are aware of that because they're designing and specifying. So they should be designing and specifying materials and products that are going to be appropriate products and materials for our building regulations. Because we're going to show compliance, and at the very end of the system, we're going to be certifying that the building has been designed and constructed in accordance with the building regulations and the technical guidance documents. Technical guidance document D deals with materials and workmanship. So you have to be able to verify that. And this is one method of doing that. It also deals with storage and traceability. So if there are products and materials, there's a traceability element to that, how you should store them, how you should treat the products and materials. You may well buy the product and material. If you don't follow the proper procedures in relation to storing that product and material, you could damage it. And then you're going to put a damaged product or material into a structure or into a building. Again, it could fail then as a result of that. So there's an ongoing awareness. We need to have an ongoing awareness in relation to products and materials, and particularly in relation to specifying products and materials. People have probably seen a lot of these types of slides as well over the last number of years in particular, dealing with the BCAR, so the BCAR system in relation to building compliance, or Building Control Amendment Regulation 2014, and you will get it out there, Building Control Amendment Regulation 2014, you're talking about your competent professionals. So this is your assigned certifiers, assigned design certifiers, assigned certifiers, etc. So the competent people have to ensure that they're showing compliance with all of the technical guidance documents and all of the building regulations. So there is a huge knowledge or a huge onus on these people to familiarise themselves with a very broad range of topics, subjects around our construction industry. It's not just satisfactory to know one element of it any longer. You need to have a broad range of it, and then you may be relying on ancillary certification from specialist consultants. So you might have a specialist mechanical electrical consultant. You may have a structural engineer on board. So there'll be ancillary certification that will be required for them. So there is a legal onus on the assigned certifier, design certifier, to ensure that as reasonably as possible, and as you can see, they're exercising a reasonable skill, care and diligence is the term that's used, that they're designing and constructing buildings and certifying buildings in compliance with the building regulations. And that's very, very important. So it's something that we need to be aware of. Ancillary certification. So again, acting as a design certifier or an assigned certifier, which we do in Homebond and I would do personally, and this is one thing that we would be looking at all the time. So again, the knowledge has to be out there to make sure that you know which certification or which certificates you require. So there's a suite, there's a number of different ancillary certification that can be supplied. So you need to know, you need to identify what you require, and then you need to make sure you get it. So as you can see on the slide here, you have practice notes in relation to this, ACEI, CIF. So they will have ancillary certs as well. So we would be relying on, quite often we would be relying on ancillary certs from sub-consultants, particularly say around mechanical and electrical. That's what you'd be looking for. So it's important that your subcontractors, your sub-designers, whatever you want to call them, they are aware of these practice notes, they're aware of their obligations in relation to giving you certification, and that they're going to be able to provide you with that certification. So one of the questions maybe at the start when you look at how you're going to manage a project, how you're going to manage the quality of the project, the outcomes from the project, is you ask all your subcontractors, all your consultants, are you going to be in a position to give me the ancillary certification that I require? And you tell them what you require. And then they should be able to supply that to you. That gives you comfort then at the end of the project that you have received the appropriate and you've, I suppose, procured the appropriate consultants and contractors to carry out the work to a satisfactory and a high level. So it's very important that we're aware of that. What do we try to do? I suppose, and people are familiar with this as well, I've already mentioned Right on Site once, but we do a lot of training courses and we do a lot of Right on Sites around the country to our members and that. And we're all the time trying to promote a better quality material, a better quality product, a better awareness of standards and codes. We do our own training, and we're in conjunction with TUD, Technical University Dublin, in relation to training. So we have training developed with them. We do a lot of training for different locations here in Galway. So it's something that we have developed over the years, and we do a lot of Right on Sites around the country. And I mentioned one that's coming up around this part of the country, I think next week, where we try and impart our knowledge as best I can to our members and to anybody that wants to attend. So there'll be a lot of people here would have attended them in the past, and hopefully they found them quite interesting and useful for them. And again, it's to try and get that out there. Another thing that we're developing at the moment, and we have done in the past, and we're enhancing it now, and we've re-looked at it again, is we're having a new website. So we're developing a new website at the moment. It's called Build Smart, and this is just a screenshot of it here on the slide. And again, this is to try and promote people in relation to quality. So quality is everything around how you deal with your construction on site. And this is really going to be an online resource for people to go to. So particularly for our members and for consultants and certifiers, they can go to this website to have a look at it. So look, what we're trying to do here is there will be, as you can see there on the home page, there'll be a nav bar, and there'll be a lot of information. So there'll be home pages in relation to resources. So on the right-hand side, there on the top right-hand side, you can see there where we're going to have links to various different webs or various different pieces of information, building regulations, building control regulations, planning, health and safety. All that stuff is all going to be contained on the one website. So it's to try and bring everything together as best possible. Anybody here that has done any research or looking for stuff, you're jumping from one website to another resource, trying to get some information. So we're trying to put as much as we can in one location. There will be a registration in relation to this. So this is going to be for our members as well. So what we propose in relation to the registration, that there'll be different levels of registration. So our members obviously will have a lot more access to the website, because they're going to be able to look at their units that have registered with us, developments that are ongoing, etc. And then we're going to have probably 5-6 levels of registration. And we are going to cater for the likes of the students here in the college and that. So we're going to have information there for the students that they can go on and they can log on. They can use various pieces of the website where they're registered on. And again, we'll be there, we'll be capturing some information, particularly with the likes of students. We can get out information to students as well. If for example, we have job opportunities or whatever's there, we can go back and we can try and promote those types of things through the website. A lot of our services are going to be advertised in this, so our members are familiar with this as well. we haven't often, we've trained up ourselves, and we feel that when we're doing as a signed certifier and our role, we do a lot of the quality stuff ourselves. So we do the deeps, BERs, we do the air tightness, so we keep that all in-house, so we can have our own quality control and our own quality checks in relation to it. Very important that everybody knows that you can go off and get these. You have to be NSAI approved, etc. You can go in and you can select which service you want on Homebond, and again, it'll give you an information in relation to what the service is, what we can provide, and a little bit of information in relation to what the minimum requirements you have. So if you're a builder or a developer or a signed certifier or whatever it is, you can go into that website and then you can see, well, this is what I have to do. This is how I can achieve compliance in relation to that, and this is how you can make sure that the quality and the workmanship, etc., is being done correctly. We'll have a 3D house, so every website will have stuff like this as well. So we have a 3D house now for, say, homeowners that want to go in and say maybe design their own house. So you can go in and you can do up some sketches on that 3D website. You can design it, and then you can print out at the end. So if you want to go to someone and say, look, this is my concept, this is what I want to do, I have a 3D drawing of it here, a 3D mock-up sketch of it, and you can go off and you can then develop from there. So that's another an option or another thing that's on the website. We'll have some feature development. So these are bigger schemes that our members will be building. And again, this is to give you an understanding, or this is to promote to people, look, that there are big developments out there. So we are on a number of very big developments in Dublin at the moment, apartment developments, and quality is a huge aspect of that. So we would hope to promote the likes of that on this website. So whether there's a good quality or a good regime of quality in relation to a large structure or a large project, we'll use the website to show that as a feature. So we'll feature some developments and we'll have links to those particular websites or to those particular developments, etc., going forward. One thing that people might be interested in, and again, this is something that we would have often had issues with in the past. People say to us, well, where can I get a builder? Where can I get a Homebond builder? So we have on the website, or will be on the website, there is going to be a search engine on that website where you can go in there, as you can see, and you can search for a builder by a county or by another name. So you'll be able to search all the Homebond registered builders in Galway or Mayo or Dublin, whatever you want to do. And then you can go in and you can register, and what that'll do is it'll bring you up a profile for that builder. So these are our members around the country. Now, in saying that, all these members, we're not saying these are the best builders in the world. We're saying these are all builders that are registered with us. They're all under our schemes, and we're going to be inspecting their work. So there's going to be an element of quality control there because we're out doing the inspections, as we've always done. We do the inspections for under the insurance policies. So there is an element there, or there is a large degree of compliance that you must do before we will even issue our final certificate. So just to give an example in relation, if for some particular reason you can't get your Homebond certificate at the end, the alarm bell should go off. Is there something wrong here? Why will Homebond not issue their certificate? So if you as a homeowner or whatever it is, if you're buying a property and we won't issue a certificate on it, well, there's a reason why we won't issue the certificate on it. So you need to box off that reason before you continue or close your sale. So that's one of the things that you could look at or check out in relation to it. We'll also then have a number of certifiers in the room as well. So we'll also have a search for certifiers. So certifiers can be searched by county or by name as well. So these are certifiers that we would have worked with in the past and we would have accepted certification from them. So ancillary certs off them, maybe for a foundation certificate or whatever it is. And you can go in and you can search for those particular consultants as well. And again, it'll bring you through. So I think there's an example there on the screen again. And you click through and that'll bring you to that certifier's profile. And then the homeowner or the builder, if he's searching for it, can go off and contact that certifier and engage them if they wish. So that's what we're proposing to do in relation to that. Product check. I've already mentioned product in relation to it. This is a big thing in relation to products. How do you know what product to get and where can you get CE marks, etc. So what we hope to do as well, and what we've developed on the website, is that there will be a location that you can go in and check for your products. So you can go in and you can do a search. So again, you see the option on the left-hand side. You can do a keyword search in relation to that, and that keyword search will bring you up the result in relation to the reference standard of the product. And that will give you a link to where you can go and get more information in relation to it, or possibly even the CE mark and declaration performance for a particular product. And that's what we're hoping to do in relation to that. It's one big thing that even within our own organisation, when we're doing a signed certifier, it's one of the big key things that we have is getting the appropriate paperwork, CE mark, declaration performance, whatever is required. So it's very important for us to get that. The manual, and I've been asked this morning, I'd say if been asked once, and Brendan's with me today, if we've been asked once about the Homebond manual, we've been asked about 50 times already today in relation to the Homebond manual and what's happening with it. So what we propose to do as well, on the website there is going to be an option to go in and look at our publications. So within that then you can see that we'll have the Homebond manual within that. And the way the manual is going to be, we're going to go digital with the manual as well as a hard copy. So we have been saying that the manual is on its way. It is on its way. We've really had to deconstruct the original manual, because people that are familiar with it, it's a book, so you read it as a book. So we've had to deconstruct it completely, and we've had to go back and we've sectioned it all off now. And what we propose to do is that when we get it sorted out, hopefully this side of the summer, you'll be able to go in then, and then there'll be sections. So it's going to be broken down into sections, and then you click on the section you want, and it'll bring you up the subsections. You click on the subsection, and it'll bring you to the content of the manual that you're looking for. So it's very user-friendly in relation. I know it's a very simplistic way of doing it, but from us canvassing our members and that out on site, this is what they want. So we can do it on a tablet, you can do it on your phone, whatever you want. We will have a hard copy as well, but it leaves it that you can use it on site, very, very user-friendly for people out on site, and go back to it. The other additional plus with the like of this is we can go back and make changes very quickly. So if something is changed by the department in relation to a code of practice or a standard, you can then go back up and just update that section within the manual, and it'll be kept live. So that's the way we're going, and we'd hope to be there before the end of the summer. Other options with the publications, all our publications are going to be online. So we have a little homeowners handbook, people are familiar with it as well, that builders and members give out to the builder or to the purchasers. And again, it's dealing with, say, the quality of the house, and it just tells them how they can operate their house. This is a very simple little booklet in relation to how you turn off the water if you have a leak, where you isolate the power, that type of stuff, what condensation is. So again, it's telling people, look, if you have a problem, this is where you go, have a quick look at it, and you'll see if there's a bigger issue or a bigger ticket issue there to worry about. We do train, I've mentioned training already, so we're going to do a lot of online training. That's where we're going to go as well. We do face-to-face training. As I said, it's in conjunction with Technical University Dublin, and we do it here in the Galway area, we do it in the regions. And what we're going to do is we're also going to have training online now as well. So there's going to be online training for everybody that wants to do their CPD. They can do it online, they can log it online, and they can load it down. Certification, again, we're going to do a search engine for certs. So this is our certification, so we're talking about our ancillary certs. So people say, well, what ancillary cert do you require? We're going to assist you on that website now. So you'll be able to go onto the website, you'll be able to look at it and see exactly what type of certs are required, from what professional, from what consultant, and ultimately then which one of the standard certs is required for that particular aspect of the construction. And again, this should make sure that the quality of the contractors and the quality of the subcontractors will improve, because they have to get themselves up to speed in relation to this as well. So they're going to have that level of knowledge to make sure that they're going to be able to provide these ancillary certificates. Frequently asked questions. Every site has a frequently asked question. Again, we're going to have that frequently asked questions section for everybody to look at. And we'll have a glossary of terms. So there's going to be a huge glossary of terms in there. This might be useful for all the students that are here, that if you're writing up anything, you can go into the glossary of terms within the Homebond website or within buildsmart.ie and get the terms or the terminology you require for your particular assignments or projects or whatever you're doing. So that's what we're at to try and improve the quality, I suppose, from our point of view. Going back to the construction stage, inspections are key and have always been key for us. You could look at checklists, templates, very, very important. Products and materials I've already spoke about. Non-compliance, we do come across non-compliance stuff, yes, all the time when we're doing inspections. And when we come across non-compliance, we issue what we call a site visit report to get those non-compliances resolved, and we won't move forward until we get them resolved. We won't issue certificates. And you will, and no matter what any of us think in the room, it's a construction industry, there's a lot of human input, we're always going to have some problems at some stage, regardless of what people think. This is never going to be 100% compliance in relation to, you're always going to have some issues and defects and problems after construction. Let it be workmanship related, design, whatever it is, you're always going to have some element of it. And we just have to deal with that in a very focused manner in relation. If we have problems, find out what the problem is and resolve it. That's really the way it should work. Now, workmanship. So quality of workmanship. If you don't know what we're after speaking about in the earlier part of the presentation in relation to codes and standards and all the rest of it, how do you know that somebody's doing it wrong? So if you're out doing an inspection, you must make sure that the quality of the work is done correctly. So you can see on the top left-hand side, poor workmanship. Then we have good quality workmanship. Using lines, the old way, traditional way of doing stuff. There's been some brickwork in Chris's presentation earlier on. So the quality of work is a big, big issue. Very simple one here. Bricks. Nobody ever told you it's the frog up. How do you know? So a young graduate here from the college goes out to do an inspection next week. Will they know that now? They will. So if you're out and you're inspecting brick, it should be the frog up. So these are the types of things we have to get across to people, particularly around quality and workmanship. Now if you're looking at brickwork again, okay, simple enough, frog up, no problem, that's grand. But now you have to look at where actually are we building the brick. So when you're looking at building the brick, you now have to look at exposure levels. So in certain locations and in certain exposure, the brick now has to be treated in a different manner. So how you point that brick has to be done differently. And as you can see here on the slide, 2 correct ways in a severe location and 1 incorrect way. So if you go out tomorrow morning and somebody's building a brick house out on Connemara, and you see that they're brick and they have the recessed mortar joints, you can say to yourself, well, that's severely exposed location, that's not appropriate. So therefore you can then stop it. But if you don't know that level of knowledge or that quality of workmanship that's required, they're just going to complete the house because they don't know. And there is an onus, I suppose, on professionals that are inspecting work to make sure that the subcontractors, like the bricklayers, the blocklayers, they know what they have to do. Another thing that we regularly do when we do our training is we ask them, we train to professionals, blocklayers, bricklayers, roofers, whatever it is, they all attend our training. We'd regularly ask all the roofers in the room, what's your code of practice? Or what do you work to? And you'd be shocked at the amount of people that just stare straight through you, out through the wall at the back, to see will somebody else give them the answer. And that goes for all the trades and everything, because they just don't have that level of knowledge. It's not there. So it's something that we all have to be very conscious of. Again, some guidance here in relation to bricks. I'm not going to dwell on it too long. You can get checklists. So here's one from the Brick Organ, from the Brick Development Association in the UK, where you have checklists. So if you're on a site where there's brick being built, why not get yourself a checklist? Somebody's on site, whoever it is on site, they can then monitor that. Completion stage. One of the things we have to be aware of, I suppose, when we're looking at completion stage, is in relation to your certificate of compliance and completion. And this is going to be signed by the assigned certifier and the builder. So this is where the people have all been talking, I suppose, in the last number of years. I'm afraid to sign certificates or don't want to sign certificates or whatever it is. There is an onus on us now under the BCAR regime where we're not opting out that there has to be certificates of completion. So those certificates of completion are very important. Schedule of documents on completion. Inspection plans have to be put up. So you must make sure you have done the inspections. You can't put up an inspection plan if you didn't do the inspections. So it makes sense. You then have to have maybe as constructed drawings. So there are procedures that you must go through to make sure that you have supervised that work, for example, supervise the quality of the work to make sure that it is up to speed and that there isn't going to be problems or issues with it. You may be requested to give other information. I'm not going to dwell on that either. So the BCAR can come back and ask you for further information or additional information, and you need to be able to provide that to them. And that may well be, say, your deep search or ancillary certificates that we spoke about earlier on. Completion stage. And you say to me, what's this slide all about? And you can see there's a key and the ring. The builder's holding the key. And the ringing is the ringing in his ear of the homeowner trying to get in. Because all that everybody does when they get to the end of the procedure is, I want into my house. I bought that, I paid for it, it's finished, I want in. But that builder or the assigned certifier or whatever it is, they are holding the key in relation to that house. They can't give you the key to the house until all the certification has been put up onto the BCAR system. So they have to spend that time to get all the paperwork together to satisfy themselves that that house meets the requirements of the building regulations. And as I've already said earlier on, Technical Guidance Document E, workmanship and materials, quality is one of the key aspects of that. So they have to ensure that the quality of the workmanship is up to speed. And then when they get everything lined up, they get their certificates from their assigned certifier, design certifier, their builder, all their ancillary certificates, they can hand over that key, and then hopefully the ringing will stop in the rear for about maybe 6 or 8 weeks until the little hairline cracks start, and then the ringing starts again. So it happens all the time. But these are very, very important that people understand. We have various different tasks to go through. This has already been spoken about. Chris already spoke about this, so I'm not going to go into it in great detail. But one of the big issues here, and why we put these few slides in, is this has all got to do with quality. It's all got to do with quality on site, and all got to do with quality right from the top down. So it's got nothing to do with one particular individual. Buildings were designed, they were inspected, they were certified, and we had 7 tonnes of brickwork falling out of the gable of one of the buildings in Scotland. Now, as Chris said earlier as well, this went to a big inquiry. There was lots of investigations. You can see here from this slide, very brief points in relation to this slide, what was wrong. Wall ties were in incorrectly, wrong spacing of wall ties. Should that have been picked up during your quality inspections, your BCAR inspections here? Yes, it should have been picked up. It was designed, it was there. The designer put them in. They weren't picked up through their inspections. So the quality of the inspections or the regime of the inspections let them down in that particular situation. Minimum embedment was, I think some of the cavities in this particular school was 40 millimetres greater than the design cavity. So the quality of workmanship was poor on site. So you need to look at these types of things. These are just some photographs, and you can see here there's a photograph of a wall tie up on the top. And you can see here in relation to the embedment. Can you see the embedment? No. So there's no embedment at all. So these are types of... This is a no-brainer if you're out doing inspections. This should be picked up straight away. It's a no-brainer. Okay, that's again in relation to it. There was an inquiry and evidence and all the rest of it. We've been through that. Chris, I think, we spoke about a little bit earlier on as well in relation to it. And it just gave examples in relation to what were the issues here. So heights of lifts, for example. So there was too much block work being built in the one day, too much of the brickwork being built up in the one day. Again, that's a supervision issue on site, a control issue on site. It's all quality in relation to the build, in relation to the execution of the work. It's very, very important we look at all that. There was eyewitness evidence given in relation to it. And there was 17 other projects of a similar nature identified as a result of the inquiry into this particular school. So that gives you an understanding. Like, this was not an isolated incident. It was something that was pretty much happening in a lot of locations. There were different consultants, different builders, so it just wasn't one company, one builder. There was a number of different organisations involved, so there was something falling down. So one thing that you would be argued in relation to what was falling down here was in relation to the quality of the workmanship, quality of the supervision, etc., etc. So again, it all comes back to that type of situation. And you can see here as well, one of the big things, there was two or three conclusions. One of the big conclusions was in relation to the quality of information that were given maybe to the design or to the block layers or the brickies in relation to carrying out the work. It was very poor. And in a lot of cases, when you do see defective work like this or problems like this, a lot of it does boil down to that people did a little bit ad hoc on site. They didn't have enough detail, they were under pressure, and they just went on and did it the way they have always did it. And that's what happens or tends to happen. Okay, in relation to competency, what we were saying, a lot of the competency boils down to, look, training, and you can't beat experience. So you have to have a combination of training and experience to consider yourself competent. There's a lot of people in the group here today would consider themselves competent. I certainly would consider myself competent in certain aspects, but no way would I be competent across the board from everything from A to M. And I would say, and I don't know everybody in the group, but I would say, looking at all the faces in the group, there's nobody here who will put their hand up and say they're fully competent in every technical guidance document from A to M. At all times you may need a little bit of assistance or a little bit of help in relation to it. And that's something that's out there. So one of the big things is that you have to do training and experience. So we have a number of our courses up there. We do toolbox talks for our larger members. So we go off and we do a specific toolbox talk, for example, maybe in masonry. So some of our larger contractors in Dublin that are doing stuff, that's what we do to try and educate, get it across to the guys on site as well, what is required, what is necessary. As I mentioned earlier on as well, we do write on sites. So our next series of writing sites are starting next week. So we're starting off in Waterford next Wednesday. So we're in Waterford, I think, in Galway, or we're in Waterford and Cork next Wednesday, and we're up here next Thursday. So we're in Limerick next Thursday at 1:30, and we're here in Galway out in the Maldron Hotel at 6:30 next Thursday for anybody that's interested. This is a free event. Again, what we're doing is we're giving information in relation to what's happening, what's out there. This year we're going to have ESB Networks are coming with us, and we also have Irish Water with us. So the two of them are coming with us, and we'll do, as people are familiar with, we'll do a few sessions ourselves in relation to what's topical and what's out there, and then we bring in those guest speakers to assist us in relation to certain elements of it. So at the end there, as you can see, the great aim of education is not knowledge but action. So we can all be very educated, and I think somebody has mentioned earlier on as well, we can be very educated to the highest degree in relation to letters after a name, which was mentioned as well, but we still need that experience, and we need to put all that into action. So we need to get out there and make sure that the standards and codes and regulations are being followed to make sure that the quality of construction is being achieved that we want to be achieved. Okay, I think that's me finished. Thank you.